Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and with me as always on what of our days now?
Tuesday,
Tuesday
Friday.
and Friday. Tuesday and Friday is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. So I'm settling in. I lost track of time again. I was out on the property filling in some freaking holes from fucking years ago that I dug, and when we were, it's called a perk test. You got to dig like test holes, and the guy comes out and like tastes it and sprinkles it in the air and tells you if it's if it's good to put a septic system in the dirt. And
Mhm.
so finally, I got those filled in. But anyway, enough
Nice.
about that.
At least
So
it wasn't your laundry that you waited years to do.
no, no, that would be disgusting. So today we're going to be talking about. I feel like it's important to talk about a little bit about gold and silver. One, because of the battle that I always see going on between crypto investors and gold and silver buyers, physical gold and silver buyers, and I feel like that it's two camps of the same tribe. Both of us are deleveraging against, the dollar and deleveraging and, removing ourselves from, the fucked up financial system, but they're always at each other's throat. It's like kind of the same team. And me personally, since I was a kid, I've been stacking silver and gold. So, I busted out some of my collection of my coins and some of my bullion for today's show,
Ooh.
and I'm going to share a little bit of my experience. Years ago when I first got out of the military, I ran a precious metals shop and a rare coin shop. And so I got a little bit of experience doing this. And of course, I invest in crypto and do DeFi. But for me, I like the idea of knowing that if the wheels keep on the bus keep going round and round on our financial system, and they integrate crypto and DeFi and all that stuff like we all hope that they are going to, and the markets go back up and everything, great. Crypto is a great investment. However, and precious metals are is great no matter what happens. If the markets don't go back up and everything goes to shit and we're Mad Max in it, people are going to take gold and silver as trade for goods and
Mhm.
services. If the wheels stay on the bus and they go round and round, we're going to be fine. It's if you have gold and silver, as you can see, gold is at all-time highs, silver is at all-time highs, still a great investment. Are you going to make as much potentially as you would in crypto? Probably not. Is it less volatile than crypto? Absolutely. All I'm saying is keep an open mind. From a prepper standpoint, I like gold, silver, crypto, lead, food, water, anything that I can get my hands on, even liquor, medical supplies, anything that is going to be valuable to somebody if shit hits the fan. So let's dive into it. Do you want to share the socials real quick? And
Yeah, I got my stuff.
all right, let me
Should.
pull that up for you. We'll transition.
Oh, who froze? Oh, did you freeze? You froze? Are you there? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I'm back.
Okay, I see it. Oh, oh, he's out. All right. Well, we appreciate all of you joining us on this fabulous Friday episode of DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where me and Mike are going live every Tuesday and Friday now, either 5 p.m. or 6 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch us here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops on YouTube. And come join the chat if you're on Twitter, because we got a lot more people in the chat on YouTube. So if you want to join the fun, catch us there. And also, Mike goes live during the week every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the DeFi Masterclass with Jake and David. Check out their DeFi University and Metrics Finance products in the description below. Great resources for your DeFi journey. Also, Money
Full,
Talks
oh,
is coming back.
and and full disclosure, if you sign up with either Metrics Finance or DeFi University. It doesn't cost you anything, but we do get a little bit of money for using our affiliate link. So it's a great way if you're going to get those resources. It's a great way to support the channel without any money out of your.
And like you said, there are free options to start with, so check those out first. And if you
Mm.
feel like it can benefit you, upgrade and could potentially save you a lot of headache and
Upgra-
stress.
upgrade with two D's for a double dose
Double
off of
upgrade.
idiocracy. Yeah, well, off of idiocracy.
Yep, yep. The upgrade.
Yeah,
Oh man, upgrade's gonna kill me.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So Money Talks is gonna be coming back. I think you said Taylor
this
was
this
on
Monday.
a little
It
vacation.
Yeah, it should be this Monday. He's on a cruise with the family, so yeah, it should be this Monday, if not the Monday after.
Yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Mike, I haven't watched the video you did yesterday, but I heard it was pretty good. The interview you had with what was the gentleman's name?
So his name is Charlie Nunu. I grew up my whole life like hearing about this guy. My dad went to college with him, and one of the like I'm gonna have him on again. We talked about markets, and basically it was prophetic what he said because last night he was talking about a lot of the shit that's going on today. That I've been seeing unfold, and he for decades was in the grains market, like international, like shipping, the massive dry bulk shipping vessels where they have the giant holds that are like 10 stories or 20 stories tall, and they just fill them up with grain. And so he was in that market forever. He speaks like 5, 6 different languages. I mean, he has
Gee,
like he has like stories for days where
so
he's met with celebrities and politicians from around the world, and he gets invited all over the place to speak. And I mean, it's insane the connections this guy has.
shit. Yeah, it looks like you guys went pretty long too, almost hour and a half. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I again, I wanted to get him back on, but yes, black ice. I like gold.
Yeah, and it does look a little toppish, man. With we'll get into that too.
We are. I'm short gold right now. It's just that's how toppish it looks to me.
Yeah. And also, don't forget to check out Mike's DeFi Academy. Great introduction to DeFi and all the tools that you need to get started. And I know that there have been issues with VFAT, which is one of the liquidity pool DeFi exchange or aggregators.
Yeah, DeFi aggregator.
And it's, I found going into the Discord has helped, because I've seen other people have issues. And then the team has been pretty quick to get things figured out. So at least that's good. But you can catch us on Twitter, _only_DCA. Catch Mike at Veteran4Crypto, me at the BCR142, and over on Pump.Fun, where we're streaming. Oh no, I don't want to request. We're streaming on Pump.Fun, and we did have to create a token. We created it a token in order to stream. Created it, and we only own less than we own 1% between both of us. The rest is basically the liquidity pool, so we can't dump on you. It's only for streaming purposes. So don't buy and hold. You can buy and sell, and we get like creator rewards off of the buying and selling. So if you want to help support the channel, that would be a great way to do it without you having to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
And also our Discord, totally free. We got a lot of great people in the community on here. There's the tracking sheets, but like I said before, the metrics finance has been crushing it with being able to track your DeFi portfolios and stuff. But we got a lot of people in the Discord just rolling in. And if you have questions, people have been so supportive in there answering.
That Discord's been growing.
Oh yeah, it's been so awesome. So we love to see all of you guys in there just helping each other out. And Yeah, so that way we're not struggling like, oh, is it just on my end that I'm having issues or
Dude, I love it. If I'm having issues with VFAT or any protocols or my wallet or something like that, I go in our Discord and I'm just like, hey, anybody else having issues? And if nobody else is having issues, I'm like, okay, it's something that's unique to me. If it's something that it is, and I haven't run into any scammers. Our mods have been
Mm,
doing a great job weeding out, anybody that's sketch. So yeah, shout
yeah.
out to all of them.
Yeah. Love you guys, man. Appreciate you. So
So we
we
ready
get
to kick
into
this
the
thing off?
gold.
All right, let's kick this thing off. All right, let me share my screen. Let's see, where do we want to start? Do.
The line of
Let's.
people.
No, I'm going to start with this. All right, so let's add that and bop and bop
And we got the Black
and
Ice, Nick Dunn,
all
Whiskey,
right.
Good, all the jurors.
So I'm sure anybody that's been paying attention knows that gold has been going parabolic, and pretty much if you're familiar with crypto and people talk about that euphoric stage of crypto where everything's pumping, no matter what you invest in, every altcoin is pumping. You got memes pumping, you got people buying, multi-million dollar NFTs. Just you can't lose. That's what's going on with gold and silver right now. Both are at all-time highs. Silver's at like, I think last I looked is like $54 or something like that. And gold has been pulling back a bit. I actually have a short in on gold because everything I'm seeing is it is way, way overbought. I
Mhm.
see it as just hot as hell. The only way it can keep going is if news came out, in my opinion, not financial advice, but if news came out that the dollar was going to zero, that fiats around the world were going to zero, that gold was the only safe haven, and everyone was trying to sell fiat into gold. That's the only way I see us going higher right now. But you can see on Google Trends, this is over time. This is back January of 2004. You can see we were just trucking along. You get little peaks here and there, but for the most part, flatline. And then all of a sudden, you can see during 2020, 2021, COVID, you saw that everything took off, and then it calmed down again. And then recently, we've been going parabolic. People googling gold price. Now, let's look at something that I found interesting. So, this is the gold Bitcoin pairing. So, this shows the price of gold relative to Bitcoin. And you can see that, back here, February of 24, you can see that this line that I slapped on here, you can see where it was resistance. It came up, bounced off, came up, bounced off, bounced off, bounced off, went above, rejected, came back down, flipped to support for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, dripped down below. And since then, it's been acting as resistance. Right now, this is where we're sitting, is at that line. We've bipped up above it. I'm on the 1 day. You can see that we bipped up above it, but it has since gotten back down below that line. I personally think with how overbought we are with gold. I mean, at one point I think it was over like 44, maybe even $4,500 an ounce. It needs to cool off. And this is why. Look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane. I mean, you're watching it to where it's just gone straight up. I mean, this isn't sustainable without some sort of pullback and consolidation.
Shit.
You know what I mean? It's just this is insane to me. And so I see personally, again, not financial advice. I am not an expert any way whatsoever when it comes to, markets and charts and things like that. However, I do have a very good understanding of gold, silver, and have been in crypto for a while now. And from what I am seeing, all of the indicators, is that gold is due a pullback and consolidation, and those that were buying gold back in this area down in here are looking to take profits. They went from 32 to $3,400 to where we were up almost to $4,400. So almost a
That's
25.
30, that's 30%
Yeah.
from
And
just
that's a
about
lot. When it
shit.
comes to gold and gold investors, that's a lot. I know that doesn't seem a lot to crypto people, but that's a lot in gold terms. I personally, and I'm not the only one saying this, people that are going to be taking profits from gold potentially are going to be looking more towards risk on assets like Bitcoin, like crypto. If you could take all of these profits, roll those into Bitcoin, and see 100% return on that, wouldn't you? And Ethereum and Solana and a lot of these cryptos. I personally think, again, unless some nuke comes out and just destroys the markets and makes people so scared that they don't want to get out of gold and silver, I see a lot of this liquidity rolling over into the crypto market. What do you think, Jeff?
Dude, well, it's funny you say that because I was just looking at from the beginning of the year, you have a 64% increase in the price of gold since the beginning of the year. And just before our stream, I saw somebody on Twitter saying that they have actually been kind of selling out, talking about a year ago, nobody was talking about gold and silver, and now everyone's rushing to buy. And he said, I've been selling into these pumps over the past few months. And so, the smart money is laddering out, taking advantage of all of these people coming in. Yeah, look at that. And
This is,
and what
and,
happens?
and this isn't just in the U.S. I mean, like some of these look like. This looks like it might be in the U.S. somewhere. No, Castle. Or no, this looks like it might be the U.K. Castlebrae Street, and then this right here looks like it's either Vietnam. Judging by the signs, looks like it might be Vietnam or Cambodia. People are lining up
Yeah.
to exchange their dirty fiat for gold.
Whew.
There is a rush on gold, but
Good
again,
Lord.
this feels like that euphoria. Everyone's hearing, that gold's going parabolic and retail is rushing in. This is what we've been waiting for
Mhm.
crypto. We've been waiting for retail to want to FOMO in. They're doing it on gold because it's going parabolic. Alts haven't gone parabolic. Bitcoin has been a slow, like a kind of a slow grind up, since, like last year, year before. It hasn't been news catching gains. As soon as social media is going crazy, hell, go on Twitter right now. Everybody's talking about gold. Fucking
Mhm.
Adam Schiff must have an army of bots that are,
Right.
freaking talking about gold. That guy, I swear that he jacks off with a gold glove.
Yep.
Um, it's like he just will not stop with gold and like trying to bash Bitcoin. And it's like, dude, it's like, yeah, gold has done better than Bitcoin over the majority of this year, but zoom the fuck out. I actually posted earlier today where gold is up not even 400% since Bitcoin, launched. And Bitcoin is up like millions of percent.
Yep.
So, yeah, is gold a good investment long term? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But to compare Bitcoin to gold or gold to Bitcoin is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, in the previous 3 years, from 2020 to 2024, it went sideways. It was completely
Well,
sideways.
yeah. And, Wispy has a great point. It's, much easier to buy Bitcoin as well. It's all about educating, the masses. People, everyone knows that gold is valuable. I'm sure you've seen the videos, where there's somebody on the street and they'll have like an ounce of gold and they'll, say, hey, if I was to offer you an ounce of gold or one Bitcoin, which one would you take? And just person after person after person's like, oh, I'll take the gold. I'll take the gold. I'll take the gold. And it's, and, and he stops them, after they take it. And he's like, okay, here you go. And he's like, you do realize that Bitcoin is worth, I think at the time it was like $80,000. You do realize that Bitcoin's worth $80,000 and that gold ounce is only worth like, I think 3,000 at the time. And people just don't get it. They don't realize it. It
Oh
takes
my gosh.
the euphoria for people to get educated on the value of things.
Yeah,
So
that reminds me of the Taylor Swift thing that they did. They did the same thing with Taylor Swift tickets. They were asking
mhm.
people like, "Oh, would you want Taylor Swift tickets or 1 Bitcoin?" I was like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about? You could buy a 1,000 Taylor Swift tickets for
Oh, yeah. You could buy Taylor Swift's fucking tour bus.
that." Oh,
All
dude, that's
right.
crazy.
So, what I want to get into, actually, you know what? Let's scroll down a little bit here and see what else we can find on the Twitters. Breaking. What is this? Million, billion, trillion, 1 trillion has been wiped out of gold market cap today. So I actually put in a gold short this morning. Let me see how that's freaking going. I've been using Avantis because you can actually trade commodities on Avantis.
Hmm.
Let me see what my I'm pretty much where I was at. It's been going up and down, but yeah, gold has been bleeding off. Let's see. But this this is like I totally understand this. So basically, gold is going through the door first. This is a stack. Like basically, if you're breaching, this is what's called a stack. So you have the breacher, which is this guy, that's gold, and then you got silver that's kind of benefiting from the trickle down effect that kind of shows up next, and then Bitcoin. So again, once the profits start getting pulled from these epic pumps on gold and silver, those people are going to want to put that liquidity to work.
The
They're not
rotation.
just going to want to hold it on the side and
Hmm.
wait for gold and silver to pull back to go back into gold and silver. I mean, they're super overheated. They're going to be looking for places to put it. And historically, they put it in Bitcoin. And then once Bitcoin pumps, then it bleeds into ETH. And then after ETH, it's the large caps, and after the large caps, it's the low caps. But I really feel like that the this is it's becoming more and more obvious to me that this is going to be an extended cycle.
Yeah. I mean, it. I don't think the institutions will push the price down like crazy. You know, like we've seen in the past, just because they're not going to want to take those losses on Bitcoin themselves. But I don't even think Michael Saylor would let that happen. I think he would step in and start buying, if anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that kind of is like how when Bitcoin tops out and then alt season comes in, you see everything rotate from Bitcoin and Ethereum into the altcoins, and that's when you get the uh, what's the Bitcoin dominance. That's when you get the Bitcoin dominance flip and alt
Hmm.
season starts. So it's kind of like that. But I mean, seeing this fucking parabolic just run in gold is insane.
Well, this is a video. This is in Singapore. This is people flooding into bullion stores to buy gold and silver.
Ooh.
This looks like very toppy to me, basically. Here's that same thing. That same spot. You have what is that? ABC bullion. You have people lined up down the block wanting to get in to buy gold and silver.
Shit.
Boomers selling their gold for 4,300 after buying it 50 years ago for a sack of corn. I remember when I was a kid, gold was like 350 bucks an ounce, and silver was like $5 an ounce.
Jesus. I mean, where
Um,
are the best places to buy that? Because, like you said, well, you haven't got into it yet, but you ran a shop.
Yeah. So basically, the best place, honestly, the best way to buy it is not to go into a bullion shop. The best way to buy it is go on JM Bullion is a very reputable place. Scottsdale Mint, that's where I buy most of my stuff from. This is one of their 1 kilo stackers. It's a silver bar.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. But yeah, it's a 1 kilo silver bar, fucking heavy as shit. But it's kind of indented in the back. That's why they call it a
Oh, that's
stacker.
what stackers. Okay.
Yeah, I see. It's kind of recessed there, and then it's relief, or sticks out there. So
Mhm.
basically, they stack on each other. But yeah, this is 1 kilo of pure silver. So I got a bunch of those. I have boxes and boxes and
No
boxes of
vampires coming near you.
no or werewolves.
Or werewolves. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got a bunch of these graded, freaking silver coins and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I got quite the little collection. And then
So that looks like the old Pokemon gold bars we used to get from McDonald's. Yeah.
yeah, and then these are my favorite is Morgan silver dollars. So yeah, it's like, I mean, they're just like little pieces of art, man. I love like old U.S. Minted coins, and it's like having a little piece of history, like most of these silver dollars, I mean, fucking that could have been in somebody's pocket, during a gunfight, or used at a poker table, and back in the old west or something like that, because like this one's from 1887. It's there's a lot of cool history. I mean, I even got like old I have an old silver shipwreck coin from like a Spanish galleon that went down. It was basically when they find like bank hoards. Like I have one coin that's from a bank hoard, and it's just they forget about bags of silver dollars and stuff that are in the back of the vault. Somebody discovers them, and so they send them off to get them graded. And so there's like massive amounts of them. So when they seal them in that case,
Hmm.
then they'll mark it. That it was, hey, this is the in New York. This is a bank vault hoard, and they'll grade it and stuff like that. But same thing for shipwrecks. Whenever they find shipwrecks, they'll grade those, and then sell those off as well, because it brings the value up. If it's graded. So
Yeah.
little,
You want to verify, make sure that it's actually what it is. And how do they grade them? I mean, they have someone inspecting them, and do they test the material and stuff?
they do all kinds of stuff, but the big thing is the condition of the coin. And so there's basically, like, if you're looking at the coin, you can see this one here. This is a cam, a proof cam, and so it's called a
Damn, that's
cameo,
clean.
is what a cam means. And then it's usually you have the background, that the super shiny part,
Hmm.
that's called the field. And so, like, if you're grading a coin, you want to look at the field, and you look for blemishes. So if there's nicks or scratches or anything like that, you want to look at the how detailed the stamp is, when they're minting it.
Hmm.
So depending on which coin it is, you might, if it's a bust, somebody's head, you might look at the details of the hair, and then you'll look at the high spots on the coin, because of course, if it's rubbing against other coins, the high spots are what's going to wear first. And so you want to look at those high spots and see if it still has the details. You know,
Hmm.
all these little things add up. Stamping it, if it bounced and it basically made the imprint twice and made it through the quality control and went out into circulation, and you're able to get a hold of it, because like there's a 1955 double die that is worth quite a bit. um that's one thing. If they put the wrong obverse on a coin, then that's a mistake. That's worth a lot more because it's more rare. So there's all
Uh,
kinds of things that go into coin grading that is going to increase or decrease the value of a coin. But that's kind of more for collectors. Let's
mhm.
start with bullion. So with bullion,
Booty,
19 what's that?
booty on,
Bullion.
booty on.
So US coins, not all coins. It's dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars. 1963 or older they have 90% silver. The rest is usually like copper and things like that.
Why
But
that year?
because basically it got to a point to where silver was going up in value, and it was more expensive to mint it out of silver.
Mm,
Same thing happened, with gold, in the 70s, where they took us off the gold standard. Is they
okay.
basically started removing precious metals from being attached to our currency, which is probably one of the dumbest things that they ever did.
Yeah.
But I digress. So dimes. I don't got any. I didn't pull my dimes out, but you know what a dime is. So a dime is 0.0715 ounces of silver. A quarter is 0.1787 ounces of silver. A half dollar is 0.3575 ounces of silver. And then a Morgan silver dollar and a peace dollar are both 0.77 ounces. And then if you have a silver eagle, let me see if I know I got one here. There we go. So if you have a silver eagle, these are collectible and they're exactly 1 troy ounce of silver. And so you can buy these for the silver content. There's usually a higher premium on them, but they are collectible, and some of them are actually pretty damn expensive if they're in these cases and graded. So, and that's exactly 1 ounce. So basically, all you do if you know the silver content or gold content of a coin, then it's very easy to figure out how much the dollar value of the metal in that coin is. So, say a dime. A dime is 0.0715 ounces. You multiply that by whatever the spot price of silver is right now. So, say it's 54. Say it's $54. Then all you do is you take 0.0715 times 54 equals. So if you have a silver dime, 1963 or older, worth just shy of $4, $3.86 for a dime. That's why they never should have stopped minting you dollars that weren't backed by gold and coinage that wasn't backed by silver because it was made of silver. Because that is why the spending power of the dollar has been going down for the most part. Is they can just print and mint as much coins and fiat as they want now, and
Mm.
whereas before they had to actually mint it out of silver or gold, and they could only print dollars if they had a 1-to-1 value in gold to back it, to an
Yeah.
extent. So
Yeah, what is it that they use for the coins now?
it's
To
like nickel and copper, and a lot of times it's basically a copper that's clad in like nickel and zinc and things like that.
okay.
Yeah, time to ask grandpa for an allowance. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have any old coins, if you have grandparents and they got milk jugs that are filled with even old pennies, there's a bunch of pennies out there that
Oh,
are worth, there's a couple of pennies that are worth millions of dollars. It's,
shit.
yeah, like that 1955 penny. let me go to PGCS real quick.
Because that's real copper that they
Well, no, it's not that
or
it's
silver
copper.
pennies.
It's that like if they're collectible. So the collectible
Oh,
value, not the metals value.
okay.
So oh crap, never mind. I'm using my VPN right now, so they're not going to let me go to the site.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah, there's
okay.
pennies that are worth millions,
Shit.
but copper. I mean, shit, copper's been going up in value so much they stopped making pennies out of copper.
Yeah.
And actually, Wispy's right. There were a couple of years that there were silver pennies, and actually steel. There were steel pennies during World War II. They needed the copper, for the war effort, and so they actually started. There was a very short period of time where they minted pennies out of steel.
Interesting. Yeah, misprints on for any collectibles are like gold because it's like, oh, that's a fuck up. Damn, we're gonna give you 10 times or 100 times the.
So yeah, this is that formula I was talking about. Spot. At this point, this is actually my old YouTube channel back when I was doing precious metals, and I actually had a emergency preparedness company called Prep to Survive, and basically this is one of the videos I did. So basically, and forget this, it's 1964 and older. There's very few exceptions in 1964. It's actually 1963 or older, but this shows you. It's just basically, the the spot price tells you how much it's worth, and you can see, like with the way silver's been going up. I made this video back in 2010. That same dime that's worth almost $4 now was only worth $1.57 back in 2010. It's like over doubled in value. Just in the past 10-15 years,
Shit.
which isn't a lot to crypto people,
No.
but I mean that's you figure a dime doubled its silver value. I mean, one dime is worth freaking almost $4. I mean, that's insane to me. That's why back people complain about boomers. It's not their fault. Back in the day, the reason you could buy a freaking candy bar for a nickel is because of this. A dime was actually worth something. I mean, how many candy bars can you buy with a silver dime now? $4. How many candy bars can you buy with that? A couple.
Well, they said minimum wage compare now would have to be like $60 or $70 an hour to buy to have the same purchasing power, back in the 50s and 60s. And that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
insane. I mean, what the fuck? And they wonder why people can't afford homes or barely rent in a lot of places and,
Mm-hmm.
cars and shit. Um,
This is actually a valid point here. ETA VSM, welcome to the channel. First time I've seen you comment, but very valid point.
mhm.
Saw the picture of the lineup in Vietnam. The thing is it's not just Vietnam that people are lining up to get gold and silver, but they are right. I'm not assuming your gender with ETA VSM, but yeah, it looks like Vietnam is forcing everyone in the country to link accounts with biometrics. Over
Mhm.
86 million accounts have been deactivated. So yeah, absolutely. That I'm sure is exacerbating the issue. I couldn't believe the value of garbage pail kids are worth now. I had this, dude. I need to check on that. I have a bunch of old garbage pail kids.
Oh shit. Damn. Mike might be sitting on gold.
Right? Deadwood, the first gallon of gas I bought as a kid was 54 cents a gallon. When I started driving, it was 79 cents. But the thing is if you had that 54, like, or say that you had that 80 cents of silver. So what was it? I ended up with $3.86 for a dime. So times that times 8, roughly, 79 cents, almost 80 cents. That's $30.88. So a gallon of gas is not $30.88. Hold on, let me think about this for a minute. Yeah. So basically, with 8 dimes, with 8 silver dimes, that's $30.88 is what those 8 silver dimes are worth.
Okay.
So if you had 80 cents from 1963, coinage or older, you would have $30.88. You can buy a lot more than a gallon of gas for that. You can buy like 6 gallons of gas for that or more. I mean, fucking even in California, you could buy 6 gallons of gas for that. So that shows you it's not necessarily the dollar that's going down in value. It's the fact that it's not backed by anything. Before it was backed by the silver that it was minted with. It was backed by the gold that you could redeem your dollars for. You used to be able to walk into a bank, lay down $100 bill, and they would give you $100 worth of silver or gold, either one. That's not the way it works anymore. And that's why we're having the issues that we're having, and governments can print as much money as they want.
God damn.
So, this is why I kind of giggle when I see people arguing on the crypto shows about, and Adam Schiff or fucking Peter Schiff, talking about which one's better, gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever. I'm like, they all have a place.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin is a lot more liquid. As long as there's power and as long as, again, the wheels on the bus are turning around and around to where, goods and services are being exchanged, the internet's up, everybody has power and, things are running the way that they're supposed to run. Bitcoin and crypto is going to reign supreme, when it comes to earning potential. However, if the lights go out, if governments collapse, if fiats collapse, and people lose total faith in the system, I want to have this. I want to have in my grubby little paw, I want to have, freaking silver bars. I want to have, fractional silver, like silver dimes and silver quarters and, things like that. Because that is going to be the medium of exchange. If I'm out here in my local area, out here in the sticks, people don't care about Bitcoin. Even if there was power and my cell phone was working, they're not going to take Bitcoin. They want something they can hold in their hand. They want the reassurance that
Mm-hmm.
no matter what happens, I give them this for some beef. They give this to somebody else for some vegetables. They give this to somebody else for gas. Whatever. That is the way that our system is supposed to work. So, yes, I mean, am I bullish on Bitcoin and crypto? Absolutely. Am I bullish on gold and silver long term? Absolutely. I'm not going to pigeonhole myself into just one thing. I'm going to be diversified in gold, silver, crypto, lead, food, medical supplies, booze, whatever that I can store that is going to go up in value. That if things go to shit, no matter how bad, if it's a bank run, if it's a government collapse, if nothing changes, if we're Mad Maxing it and we're wearing fucking tire shoulder pads and spike collars and shit, and gimp masks,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
good no matter what. I got all my bases covered. And that is where my head's at. Is I love the peace of mind of knowing no matter what happens, me and mine are taken care of.
Yeah. And, like you said, everything has its place because one thing, gold and silver, if you have a lot of it, it's not portable like that. You can't just go to another country and bring it all with you because you got customs and all that shit. And with Bitcoin, it's easily portable. You can just take your wallet and fucking go. But the gold and silver, if shit really hits the fan and EMP goes off and you don't have electricity, your Bitcoin's not really going to do you any good. So that way you're covered on bartering. Like you said, if I need gas for generators or food or water, whatever resources that you might need to survive off of, you have the gold and silver. And that's what I guess I was going to ask next is what would be the time you would sell that asset or trade
Which
it?
one?
The golden, like the bullions, I
Never.
guess, yeah, because in that
It's it
case, being prepared, you would want that other than cash to
for
trade
for
with.
me, like bullion. For me,
Yeah.
bullion and these have a dual purpose. For me, this is an investment because the collectible value, as I get older, if I can cash these out and make a bunch of money, off the collectible value. But if things go to shit, it still has the metal value, to where I can use it and say, hey, silver coin, freaking, this is worth X amount, whatever the going rate is. I'm going to give you this, you give me that, the barter system. This I'm holding on to, and I would only get rid of this if I was trading. Basically, I would use this to like shave off. I'd use a file, and if shit ever got bad, it would be like it was back in the day. If you went to like a bazaar in the Middle East or something like that, people are going to have scales and they're going to be like, all right, that's an ounce of silver, or that's a quarter of an ounce of silver, this many grams of gold, or whatever, and you're going to go eager, 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 eager until the scale says it's enough, and then it's like, all right, cool, and then they'll take their silver or gold, and you'll take whatever goods and services. So this is my doomsday shit, and if doomsday never comes, this is fucking. When I bought this, it was $12 an ounce. Silver was $12 an ounce during COVID. I've almost like if silver keeps going, I've like 4x'd my money
Well,
from COVID.
oh shit.
So yeah, I mean it's like when I saw silver dip during COVID to $12 an ounce, I bought as much fucking silver as I could because
Mm.
silver at the time, had already gone up to $50. And at the time, it was around $30, and then it dipped down to 12. And I was like, "Holy shit! This is a 3x opportunity just right out the gate." Because silver has been suppressed for quite some time because it's needed for electronics, manufacturing, a lot of different things. Um,
Oh shit. It went up to 50 in 2011 or yeah, 2011 and then okay,
yeah.
and then came back down
hmm
and oh shit. Okay. Damn.
So, like I said, I backed the truck up when it went down to $12. And yeah, I bought a bunch of these freaking 1 kilo stackers. But yeah, this is the GIMP mask I was talking about. Well, this is the new Mad Max movie, but there's an old one. Those of you that are old enough know what I'm talking about. The one with Mel Gibson,
The Mel, yeah.
the OG. Oh, here he is.
One. Yeah.
This guy, he's got the hockey mask. Fucking, and then he had his little GIMP that he fucking brought
Uh-huh.
brought around with him. That was on the chain like a little monkey. But so yeah, I mean that's where my head's at when it comes to all these different types of assets. Is don't get caught up in this mindset where it's this or this or this. There is no or. It's and. You should be stacking crypto. You should be stacking gold. Whatever you can afford. Silver is a lot more affordable. You can buy fractional silver, fractional gold, bullets, lead. But it will if things got bad. I mean, out here, I mean, most people, if you're trying to buy something, people that own guns, they'll trade you for ammo. I mean, look at how the price of ammo has, the price of ammo has gone up. I mean, at one point, an AR-15 round was about 10 cents, 10 to 15 cents. I'm wanting to say that it's about 50 or 60 cents now. I mean, that's a 5x. So
And
let's
yeah,
go to.
Nick Dunn, we talked about doing a preparedness episode as well.
Oh, you know what? I can, if you guys want, I can start up like a whole prepper channel, and like on our DeFi crypto and airdrops, and just have it as a sub channel,
Mm,
and I can start talking for days. I'll talk as long as you want about freaking, and I'll do Q&A, and you guys can ask me all the questions you want. I
hmm.
Those of you that don't know, I live out in the middle of the woods. I sold everything. I mean, I had a 5,000 square foot house and the wakeboard boat, and all this rental properties and everything that you're supposed to do to be happy. I was miserable. I freaking sold it all and moved out in the middle of nowhere, lived in a tent, built a cabin. My water comes from the ground, my property, my power, I'm hooked up to the grid, but I have solar panels, and I'm in the middle of building hydroelectric, and,
What town did you
garden.
live in, or city did you live in before with all that stuff?
I lived in Utah, a place called Saratoga Springs. It's
Okay.
right on on the shore of Utah Lake.
Okay. So it wasn't like uh, a Houston or San Francisco or
No,
like a huge city. Okay.
no. It's just south of Salt Lake City. Freaking at the time, awesome place. Utah's gotten so grungy now. Just it's way overpopulated. Traffic sucks. I got out of there. Perfect time. Um, just
At
cost
some
of
point,
living's
man,
gone to shit.
all the things is just, one, you're managing all that shit, and two, it's just draining your money, and three, it's like, well, at some point, what's the point? Is this really making me happy, and is it value added to my life?
And
Um,
honestly, I'm more happy living in the woods in my cabin than I ever was with that huge house and the boat. And I mean, it's honestly, it felt like shackles.
hmm.
Oh yeah, wispy well water. I can't drink tap water anymore. Like when I go to people's houses that live in this that are on city water, I can smell. I mean, it stinks. Like I have like yeah. I can't even stomach it. Whenever I go visit friends and family, I fill up my big old water bottle and I take it with me. And then if I'm there like too long, I don't like it, but I'll drink bottled water
Yeah.
because whenever I drink out of the tap, I can smell and taste the chemicals in it. Like it's bad.
I
After
Yep.
you get away from it for a while, you'd be surprised at like just how much like the chlorine and just the different like smells that come off of it. Oh,
I bring this to restaurants. When I go visit my family back in Carolina, I have
mhm.
glass water jugs out there that I leave at my parents' and go and fill up when I go visit, because I, try not to buy the plastic stuff. Um, and yeah, it's just, you don't want to be drinking that shit. Uh, yeah, you want to drink good water. Oh, what's up, Alexander G? Welcome. Happy
Yeah,
Friday.
no, yeah, freaking, what do we got here? Freaking, 223 ammo. Yeah, I mean it's on sale. It's usually $288, so probably more around like 60. Actually here, let's
How
do
many
this.
rounds is that? 500?
500. So let's do 288 divided by 500.
You know
That's
what?
57, almost 58 cents a round per freaking round for AR ammo. That's almost a 6x. It's probably a 5x from not too long ago. I mean,
Jesus.
ammo, a lot of people overlook it, but ammo is a form of currency,
That's
especially
true.
if things get bad. With ammo, you can feed yourself, you can protect yourself. There's a lot of things you can do with ammo. So, I mean, it is a huge, huge resource. If you're looking to stockpile something that is going to always go up in value, ammo is not a bad investment. Even if you don't have a bunch of guns, get common caliber, get 9 millimeter, get 45, get 308 Winchester, get 5.56, shotgun shells, 12 gauge, you know, just get those common calibers. And I mean, it's basically like stacking money. You know, you don't want to stack a bunch of it unless you're going to be static. If you live out someplace like I do, to where you're in the middle of nowhere, you can stack up a lot of stuff. That's something you have to keep in mind with your prep. On the prepper, topic is if you're, you have to plan your prep out and decide: am I going to try to survive in place, or am I going to need to be mobile to get to where I'm going to try to survive in place? And there's a lot of variables that decide, or that dictate what method of survival that you do. Is it a long term, emergency, or is it a short term? If it's a 72-hour thing where, a storm came through, the power's out, you just need to survive with you and your family in your house. You just need to stay warm. You need to stay dry. You need to have some water, some canned food or something like that for 72 hours. That's a survive in place scenario. If everything goes to shit, like Katrina or something like that, to where you can't survive in place because everything's flooded, you got people going around looting and shooting people, and you need to get the hell out of Dodge. You don't want to have a bunch of shit that you can't move. You want to be mobile. You want to be able to throw a pack on. You want to be able to load, a couple of trunks maybe into the back of a truck. You need to keep these things in mind with your prep, and you need to make sure that you have a plan. If we're surviving in place, these are the supplies for that. If we're going to be bugging out, here's the backpacks for that. Because even if you're leaving in a vehicle, if you are trying to get out of a city and the roads are gridlocked and you can't get out by vehicle, you need to dismount. You need to throw your packs on, and you're going to have to hoof it out. Okay, what supplies do I need if we're on foot? I need a water purifier. You can only carry so much water. So you want to have, something to carry the water in, but you need to have a method to purify water. If you're walking and, putting out a lot of, exerting a lot of energy, you can only go 72 hours before you're going to have some very serious issues if you don't have water.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, even 24 hours with a lot of exertion, you're going to start cramping up. You're going to have, and if you're not properly hydrated before that time, it's even worse. So water is your first priority. Food, you can go quite a while without food. Is it comfortable? Absolutely not. Can you? Absolutely. So, a little bit of food, to, keep you going. Your kids, do any of you need medications, life-saving medications?
Yeah.
Do you
Insulin
have?
stuff that keeps
Yeah.
the need to keep cold.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that people don't think about is if the power goes out, the power grid, our power grid is freaking old as shit across the nation. If the power goes out for any extended period of time, insulin goes bad. It needs to be refrigerated, like Jeff was just saying. If you have any diabetics in your house and the power goes out for more than a week or two, I hate to say it, but if you don't have a way to, keep that insulin good, you are going to lose family members. I don't mean to be insensitive, but you need to be real. You can't live in a bubble with blinders on thinking that this very fragile way of life, this high quality of life. I know people are hurting right now, but trust me, I've been all around the world. The quality of life we have here in the US, even the poorest people have a better quality of life than most people in other countries. It's not like in, modern countries, but a lot of third world countries. Being able to turn a faucet on and have water come out. Being able to, have a stove that you turn a dial and, fucking a flame starts. You know, having a refrigerator and a freezer to where you can keep food, good more than a couple of days without turning it into jerky or, some or pemmican or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Having AC. You have to be wealthy in some countries to have air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Toilet paper, having access to toilet paper and indoor plumbing. I mean, people don't realize how good we have it, but how fragile what we have is. Yes, wispy life straws, they do work really, really well. But the life straws, if you live in a place that's more arid, to where you're only going to run across water, every once in a great while, I would have a life straw, but you definitely want to have something that you can do water in bulk and put it into receptacles, into some sort of canteen or container so that you can get, to the next water source. Um, I highly suggest that your plan include, and I can get into this on other episodes. Actually, you know what? I'll stop with the prepper stuff because I can go on and on.
Yeah, water, like a water filter. And there are some filters that you can take, like if you're out at the um, out camping and stuff, but some might not. You want to make sure that they're good at filtering because you don't want to take one and go into some dirty ass river or creek that might have some nasty shit and you get sick as fuck. And because I've done 5 day fasts without food, 7 day fasts, and I've also done at the end of a 3 day fast. I did the last 24 hours. I did a dry fast, which was no water at all, or maybe it was 5 day, with the last day being no water, and it was absolute shit. I mean, it was awful. So you really don't want to go without water, you know, as little length of time as you can.
Well, and you probably weren't like working out or carrying a pack or
No, no,
I mean,
fuck no.
imagine if you're you know not fully hydrated and then
Mhm.
something kicks off, like you have a hangover from getting drunk the night before, something kicks off and you got to throw on a pack and you're trying to get out of a city to get to a friend or family member's cabin or farm or something like that because
Mhm.
the zombie apocalypse kicked off or something like that, and you're already dehydrated and you have no water,
Mhm.
or you have a couple of bottles of water, but and you live in Arizona and it's the summertime, you're not getting anywhere. You might yeah, it's like you're just done.
You're gonna be somebody else's food.
What is Oh yeah, see, like 308 ammo, 500 rounds of 308 Winchester that I was talking about. This is what most bolt action hunting rifles, military sniper rifles, things like that. The M40, that was the platform for military snipers for freaking ever. Um, the 308 Winchester, that's the caliber, but 500 rounds, almost $1 a round. You
Gee.
know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is there's a really good investment. I haven't looked at materials, but reloading. I haven't looked in quite a while, but getting a reloading machine, and if as long as there isn't like a run on the materials, um, you can get like the brass separately, the rounds, the powder, the primers, all that stuff. And if you get into reloading, you can actually save some money, and you can potentially, uh, you know, reuse the rounds. Like so, if you shoot them, then you can keep the brass,
Yeah.
and you can basically you put them in a tumbler. It polishes and cleans it and stuff like that, and then
Hmm.
you can reuse the brass, and so it saves you on your ammo.
How easy is it to like? Is it a difficult process to make your own ammo, stuff it, and everything, or is it like a science? Like
Not
cook
it's
meth or
it's it's
something.
it's not rocket science. It's pretty easy.
Okay.
it takes, there's a little bit of a learning curve. And if you really get into it, especially with like long range ammunition, that can get a lot more technical, just because there's so many just very small things that change the ballistics on a round, at long range. So, like the size of the grains in the powder, the type of powder. There's some people that will actually churn the projectile itself to make sure that it's perfectly symmetrical, so that it's like as it's spinning, because as it goes down the rifling and the round is spinning, then if it's
Mhm.
not perfectly balanced when it comes out over a long range, as it loses that kinetic energy, if it's kind of wobbly because it's not balanced, it can actually throw it off target.
Yeah.
And so, and then you got the Coriolis effect, and you got, just wind. You have the humidity, if the
Hmm.
sun's out or not. If it hits a twig. I mean, there's so many things that can affect the trajectory of a round. So when you
Uh,
start getting into that kind of thing, yes, it can get very technical. But if you're reloading shotgun shells, if you're reloading 223, 9 millimeter, 45, no, it's pretty straightforward. It's you know this shell, you put this primer in it, you put this much powder in it, you press the freaking projectile into it. Next.
okay. Okay. Yeah, so I was talking to, I went and hung out with my aunt and uncle last weekend, and I was talking to my uncle about what his dad did, and his father was a mechanical engineer, and he helped build cannons back during, because he was from Poland,
Hmm.
and during World War II, he
During the
worked.
Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, my dad didn't really talk about it much, but he helped build these cannons and stuff, and I guess." These drill bits that they would use to drill into the cannons, and it would have to be so precise. I was like, that is a crazy art, because even if the drill bit was kind of wobbly, you'd be thrown off by the projectile of the
Yeah,
cannonball, and it would be a mess. I was like, damn, that's got to be a crazy just career to. But yeah, like you said, if certain things are off even slightly, I mean,
yeah.
it matters at that point,
Well,
even the slightest
it
bit.
at long range, that there's a difference between the bullet strike on a cold bore, like a rifle that hasn't been shot yet,
Oh
to a
yeah,
rifle that, as it shoots and the
press.
barrel warms up,
Yep.
it changes, it changes how it shoots.
Shit.
So Deadwood actually brings up, a great point. So there is something called a progressive press, where basically it has like why am I drawing a blank? A reservoir for the black powder, and then it has like a little chute for the rounds, and you can basically like as each pull, it has like a carousel, and as it goes around, it's putting the primer in, it's putting the powder in, it's pressing the round in, on each pull. And so it's just like cha-chink, 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 cha-chink. And you can actually get motors to where, as long as there's powder and and the rounds and enough shells and things like that, for it to go in there, you can actually have it to where you just sit back and you just make sure all the materials are kept filled up, and it will just keep pressing ammo for you.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things you can do. But
Oh
yeah,
shit.
basically, I mean, what I'm trying to get at here is, don't get pigeonholed on your investments. Keep in mind, it's like, yes, crypto is great. Don't get me wrong. I love crypto, obviously. I mean, we have this channel. I'm an investor. I love DeFi. If the wheels on the bus on our financial system keep going the way that we hope that they go, crypto has a future. I mean, if you don't look at price, and the way things have been tanking lately, and you look at what's actually being adopted, what's being built, by these institutions, and you look at it from a logical lens and not an emotional one, you know that you're doing the right thing. If you look at your portfolio and you are buying things like Ondo that's tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange, if you're buying Chainlink that is partnered with Swift, with Linea, and is basically modernizing international or cross-border payments. If you are looking at Bitcoin and its adoption as a store of value, if you're looking at potentially Plume, where they have the DeFi and RWA platforms and tokenization and all these different things. If you're looking at stable coins and just if you're looking at what's being built out, Pendle, if you're looking at Aave, if you're looking, all of these established protocols that are being integrated, Morpho, the way it's being integrated into Coinbase, if you are looking at it through that utility based logical lens, you're not freaked out right now. If you're looking at it by price and the emotions attached to the diving price on these assets, you're freaking out because that's what they want. That is what institutions want. Is they use social media, they use the media, they use the price to get you to freak out, to get you in an emotional state of mind, because when you're in an emotional state of mind, you do not think logically. And it's not your fault. It's it's freaking biology,
Mm-hmm.
fight or flight. Do research on, if you're in investing, I highly suggest that you read about stoicism, that you read the book of five rings. It's a oh fuck, what is his name? Mashido. Anyway, a samurai from back in like the 1600s. It's basically Japanese stoicism, but learn about the psychology of investing, and you'll understand at a much deeper level when you see these dips and you see all of the different things going on social media and the Trump tweets and the macro, you'll see that it's kabuki. It's all theater. And the tweet happens with the war announcements, and the Bitcoin drops, and so everyone freaks out and sells their alts, and then you look on chain and you see that institutions and banks are buying while everybody else is selling. If you can step back and be proactive and not reactive, you are going to be successful in investing. If you twitch and flinch at every little move in price, get out of crypto. Get out
Mm-hmm.
of investing, because you are, and I'm going to be blunt, you are going to be my exit liquidity. It's, I'm just going to be real with you.
Don't be those
Because
people in line for the gold.
that's what I'm saying. That is a perfect, thank you. That is a perfect freaking example. Is you have these people, that are look at it, wrapped around the block. Where were these people when gold was $3,400? Nowhere to be seen. They're buying the freaking top. And not to
Mm-hmm.
say it's the top forever, but with
The
as
local.
heated, yeah. I mean, look at this. Are you telling me that this is the perfect time to be buying? This was the time to be buying.
Mm-hmm.
This was the time to be buying, not this.
Oh, and scroll to the left a little bit. Yeah, even before, look at that time frame. Where it went sideways.
Yeah, no, this is 20. This is January of 2015, and you just see sideways, sideways. Nobody was. I mean, serious gold bugs were buying here, but
Mm-hmm.
nobody was buying. Nobody was buying. Nobody was buying.
You have
Nobody was
COVID,
buying. Oh
and then
shit! Oh yeah, look at gold. I hear gold's going up. Oh shit! Yeah, gold's doing great. Oh holy shit! It's time to buy.
it's
No,
time.
It's time to fucking sell. You should have been buying back here, dumbass.
Like Red
Don't,
Foreman, dumbass.
yeah, dumbass. So yeah, do not if you a sure way that I have found to be successful in life is do what other people aren't willing to do, and you will be successful. Buy when no one's interested. Buy when everyone's selling on good solid assets, good solid things. Be willing to do jobs that no one else will do because they're too dirty or they're beneath most people. Be willing to work for free as an intern for somebody because they have a fucking amazing network that you're going to get exposure to, or they
Yeah.
have a wealth of knowledge that they can mentor you and teach you. Like a real estate investor that spent decades, their lifetime learning about real estate. Align yourself with somebody like that. Say, you know what? I'll work for you for free if you just teach me what you know. Introduce me to people that you know in your circle, and I will work for free. In your spare time, of course. That is how I got to where I'm at. The rare coins and precious metals shop, I started working for him for free, and he saw my value and started paying me. Marketing, I started as a personal assistant to the owner and CEO. I was making like $20 an hour, and she saw my value. And after about 6 months, she made me the COO of her company because of what I was able to get done. And
Mm-hmm.
you need to be willing to swallow your pride for a minute. I mean, do you think that me, just retired from the military and doing the stuff that I was doing, I wanted to be basically somebody's bitch, being their personal assistant, making phone calls and making reservations and calling people they didn't want to call? Absolutely not. But I saw the opportunity to show them what I could do. These are the things that you need to think about, when you're trying to get ahead in life. Don't be like everybody else to where it's like, if I don't make, six figures or more, I'm not interested.
Oh my
You know,
God.
you need to make sure it's the right opportunity. I'm not saying, go work for minimum wage for some massive corporation thinking you're going to get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the opportunity. Make sure that there is a potential upside for you, but you need to think outside the box. If you want what everyone else has, do what everyone else is doing. If you want what the rich have, if you want what successful people have, you need to learn what they do and how they maneuver when markets are like this. You think with crypto as down in the dumps as it is, you think the rich are selling right now? You think that rich people aren't taking advantage? You think they're not selling at least some of their gold that they bought back here? You think they're not selling at least some of it through here and up here? Absolutely. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're they're taking profits and they're rolling that potentially here soon into Bitcoin because Bitcoin, everybody knows Bitcoin has been adopted. It's not if, it has. Bitcoin is going to go up and it's going to keep going up. Eventually, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know when. Eventually, Bitcoin will be $1 million, per token or per coin. So, people are going to be rolling these profits into Bitcoin and they're going to look to be riskier after they make profits on that. And historically, it's proven they're going to roll it into ETH and then into high caps and then into low caps. And they're going to cash out. And what started with maybe $1 million, by the time they take it through gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and XRP and all those different ones, and then into fucking low caps potentially, They'll turn that fucking 1 million into 50 million. And then they'll take that and they're going to pull it out of the markets. And when we go into the bear market, that's what's going to make that happen. And they're going to roll it into other things. They're going to roll it into DeFi potentially. Now that regulation is, getting drafted, they're going to roll it into real estate. They're going to roll it back into gold once gold pulls back. They're just going to do the round robin. You
Mm.
need to you need to get into a rich person's mindset and get out of that win Lambo. You need to get out of that spending mindset. I see it in crypto all the time. People are like, I want to get rich. And as soon as I get rich, I'm going to start spending it on Lamborghinis, Rolexes, women, mansions, all this stuff. They want to buy stuff that depreciates in value. That is a poor person's mindset. I mean, I live in a cabin in the woods. I'm not, a multimillionaire. I'm well off, but it's because I live well within my means. I have the ability to buy silver and gold. I have the ability to buy crypto. If I lose it all, I'm still okay. To have the expendable income to grow your wealth, you need to get out of that consumer spend mindset. You need to have discipline. You need to have focus. Don't get distracted. You're going to get wrecked. Sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox.
No, I'm glad you brought up the doing stuff for free, or at least volunteering your time, or um, was it being an intern, or like with the trades is a perfect example. We put all this pressure on kids to go to college and get these degrees and come out with student loan debt and stuff. When you have people in trades, electricians, plumbers, and shit, the HVAC people who make good money after a certain
Mhm.
amount of time, in their internships or whatever, and they don't have this debt 3-4 years later. And my cousin, he's a plumber out in Florida, and he's making good, like 30, 40 something dollars an hour, and he's in his mid 20s. And I mean, fuck, man, he doesn't have any debt. So we need to teach these younger kids, or kind of help shift their mindset. Like, you don't need to come out making $100,000-$200,000 a year or expecting to make all that money, because one, you don't have the fucking experience, and you're just gonna your thinking is not there enough to justify that.
Yeah.
And two, we need skilled tradesmen. That's something AI is not going to really be able to replace unless the robots come and take everything. But even then, you still, a lot of this stuff, you're going to need actual human interaction and stuff. But there's just a lot of value in volunteering your time and showing your worth, proving your worth. Yeah, that was a great point you brought up, because swallow your pride a little bit. Just because my older brother, he was in the army a decade, and he came out and he had to work at the BMW factory for like $12-$15 an hour, and he was like, this shit sucks. I was in this position in the military and stuff, and got this
Yeah.
respect. Now I'm just eating shit. But he
Dude,
sucked it up, and
I went from jumping out of planes and blowing shit up to, freaking, being a personal assistant, to
yeah.
a lady that was running, that owned a marketing company.
Hmm.
Dude, it's the worst thing that you can have is a huge ego. If you don't have the discipline to check your own ego, especially for an opportunity, then I honestly, I don't know what to say about it. You really need to understand your own personal psychology. And what is keeping you from being successful. And the reason I'm kind of going down this rabbit trail is I know a lot of people out there right now are like, you know, we were told that, if we bought through the bear market, that, Bitcoin was going to pump and it was going to flow into Ethereum, and then it was going to flow into, fucking large caps, and it was going to flow into alts, and we were going to have this freaking, we're all going to get rich, and we're going to all buy Lambos and, islands, and freaking everything was going to be rosy. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I feel it too. I get up in the mornings, I look at my phone, I look at my portfolio, and I'm like, oh, we're down again. Does it make me less motivated to get out of bed? Absolutely. I'm not immune. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm immune to it. But what I'm saying is I tell myself, you know what? Cool. The markets aren't doing anything, or they're down again. I need to dig in. I need to figure out, all right, how am I going to stack more? How, if I'm, two in my own head, I need to get outside. I need to go outside like I did today. I need to go outside. I need to get some clearing done. I need to improve my property, get that endorphin boost, that you get whenever your portfolio's up. Get those chemicals, going through your body. Work out. Something that makes you feel like you've accomplished something. Clean the house. Whatever you need to do to get those endorphins going, so that you feel good. You accomplish something. It will help you take your mind off of your portfolio. Eventually, if you're invested in good projects that are being built on that, for the future financial system, if you're into DeFi and RWAs, your project will go up. The price will go up eventually. To where? I don't know. But Link, it's going to go up. Bitcoin, going to go up. Um, you know, I have a couple of long shots, like Casper and stuff like that. Today, Casper was green while everything else was red. That was kind of nice to see, but it's so beat down, it has nowhere to go but up. But I still have a really good sized bag of it because it's one of my long shots.
Yeah,
But
we always want to have a little moon bag of something, just in case.
absolutely.
But not
Let's see.
5 to 10 moon bags that you're hoping
Yeah,
or praying.
let's see what we got. Let's search. Let's search gold again. See what's going on with people. What people are saying about gold. Yeah, see, gold's going down. What's my short doing? Looks like it's just hovering. Oh, yeah. Thought I lost you for a minute.
Oh
Sounds
no.
like sounds like Haven Peck was in the military. He it sounds like he was maybe invested in some strippers. He says, I do okay. If I didn't love crazy women, I'd have 7 times more money. I'm guessing that, maybe he was in the Marine Corps, and, outside of Camp Pendleton, went to the Purple Church.
Oh shit.
Um,
It's something I joined at 18 and I've always had a paycheck from the government. I'm a 78 model BTY or Black Ice.
yeah, Black Ice, 8 years as a Ranger and making $40 an hour. Love it. And still, yeah, I honestly, Black Ice, I miss a lot of aspects of the military, but to be honest, it's and I with the current admin, I kind of wish I was back in because they cleaned things up, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall in 2015, and I couldn't do it. It was getting way too. It was the military should not be a social experiment. Whatever the country wants to do, that's one thing, but when you have a force that's supposed to be, at peak fitness, peak, mental capacity, peak, you know, uh, resiliency, and just have the ability to weather combat. Um, it was being severely degraded. I did not feel comfortable, going to war with some of the newer troops that were coming through the pipeline. So I chose to get out. It's just they people were not properly prepared for combat, in my opinion, not compared to what I was used to. So I got out. But the current admin seems like they're trying to clean things up, which is very refreshing.
What's that senator's name from Hawaii? Hinoda or something? What's her name? She was talking about why they were recommending these harsh pull-up requirements for women in the military, and it's like, what do you mean harsh pull-up requirements? There were even females that were like, that's why are you saying it like that? Like women can't do a pull-up. It's at
Well,
some point you have to have standards for physical and peak fitness, and if you can't meet that, no matter who you are, there's men that can't even do pull-ups that I
well,
know.
there's the bottom line is that male or female, you should not be doing certain jobs if you don't have the physical ability to do
Yeah,
them. If you're having to, if you're wanting to be in a combat MOS
that's life or
where you're
death.
going to have to put, or well, you're going to have to potentially drag a 200-pound plus individual, out of harm's way or out of a vehicle or something like that. If you don't have the physical ability to do that, you should not be doing that job. I don't care how that makes you feel. If that makes you feel, bad, too bad. The military isn't a place for your feelings. The
Mm-hmm.
military is a place to get missions accomplished, and myself included. If I don't have the mental ability to work on a nuclear reactor on a submarine, it doesn't matter how I feel about it. If I'm too dumb to fucking do that, I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, mental, physical doesn't fucking matter.
Mm-hmm.
There is a standard for a reason. If you can't pull your own body weight, if you're a female or a male, and you can't pull your own body weight up on a pull-up bar, the required amount of times, you shouldn't be doing that job. It's
No.
just that simple. I don't care how that makes you feel. If my life is on the line and other people's life is on the line, your feelings don't matter.
No. No. It's reality, and you can't pretend your way out of it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's honestly, I mean, in the civilian world, if you're a dude that wants to dress as a woman and identify, I don't care. It's a free country. Do what you want. But in the military, when you're in uniform and you're a biological male, you dress as a male, you shouldn't be running around in a skirt and heels and shit like that.
Hmm.
It's like it's not the place for that. So
Yeah.
I'll get off
Man,
that.
Haven had the 8 brain surgeries and then retired Chair Force. Shit. Looks like he had a little more head trauma than you, Mike.
Yeah. Um,
Oh shit.
yeah. No, I haven't had any surgeries. So yeah, I'm kind of curious what you did in the Air Force if you're getting brain surgeries.
You
None of
had
my
no
business.
surgeries at all? No
No,
knees,
no.
back, nothing? Oh,
What's that?
you
No,
had no.
actually, I have never gone under the knife, and I never went to the doctor because in my job, if I did and they found something, I potentially couldn't do my job anymore. So
Uh,
anytime anybody in my MOS, had a hitch in their giddy up, we just took ibuprofen or whatever and just sucked it up and dealt with it. We'd get on, fucking light duty or something like that for a minute and, try to heal from it and then get back to it.
I bet Isaac would look good in heels.
I'll bet you he has some nice yams on him.
Yeah, yeah. Face paint, not makeup. Yeah, Deadwood.
Absolutely,
Face
Deadwood.
paint.
Well,
And
shit. I guess we could cut this thing off. I've been
yeah,
freaking getting
Haven
on my
was saying that
soapbox.
they stopped their historic 2-mile trail run because kids were dying in 2010.
What?
Lackland, Lackland.
Lackland Air Force Base is down in Texas. That's where Air Force does their boot camp.
Okay. Wait, where at in Texas? Is that San Antonio? I think that's where
I think so.
my aunt
I
and
just
uncle were stationed.
I just did a one of my MOSs. I was in the Army and Marines, but one of my Marine Corps MOSs was at an Air Force base, and so like all the air people there were always talking about the Lackland lasers is what they called them, and it's the flashlights with the thing on it so they glowed. So
Yep.
whenever you were marching in formation at night or early in the morning, everybody had one of those to make sure nobody no cars hit them. And so they called them Lackland lasers, and so that's the only reason I know where Lackland Air Force Base is.
Yeah, yeah. Because when we moved to from California to South Carolina in 2000, we drove across the country and stopped in San Antonio. It was during Thanksgiving, and we stayed on base with my aunt and uncle for a few days. So I was like, that sounds familiar. Um,
Let me
yeah,
see.
that was fun.
Let's see where it's at. Yeah, it's in Bexar County, Texas. Let's see. Where are these shitbag Air Force people being trained?
So Deadwood was at Paris Island in July, August, September,
San Antonio. It's down in San Antonio, Texas.
just on the west side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't. I for a while I grew up not too far from there, just east of there near Galveston.
Oh yeah, a couple hours. So Mike, have you
Fort
been stationed at Fort Riley?
No, actually, my dad was though before I was born. He was in Fort Riley, Kansas. I was stationed as far as permanent duty, not TDY or anything like that or deployments. I was at Fort Lewis, Washington. I was stationed at Keesler Air Force Base down in Mississippi. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton down in California, Oceanside. Oceanside, and where else? A bunch of other places, but yeah, never there.
Oh, what up,
Blumpkin, what up,
Lumpkin?
brother? Yeah, no, it's yeah. Most of my MOSs, I had so many MOSs. I started out actually as a generator mechanic, and my last MOS was I ran a UAV or a drone platoon, um, and but that was actually a pretty cool job. I actually enjoyed that. And then I did some cool jobs in between.
Uh, my brother was stationed at Fort Campbell for a little while. I drove up there one year to go
Oh,
visit him.
Colorado,
No, right in was it Kentucky and Tennessee? Yeah,
Campbell.
right. Fort Campbell.
Oh, I'm thinking Carson. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, no, Carson is where I went to out process when I retired.
where that's in Colorado.
Yeah, Carson is.
Okay. Oh, Colorado Springs. Oh yeah. So I got a buddy that was in the Air Force um, for a while that was stationed there back during COVID. Um, yeah. Okay. It's Colorado Springs.
Hey, Haven Peck, I was the 88th fastest in the history of the entire Air Force that ran that 2 mile run back in 1997. That's a lot of.
Jeez.
I run a 4 minute 13-second mile. That's faster than me.
Shh.
The fastest 2 mile I ever did was 11 minutes and I think it was 40 something seconds is the fastest I ever did my 2 mile.
Damn. No, I'm not a
Oh,
distance
yeah.
runner.
So Haven Peck, just north of Galveston, is Mosquito Creek and Clute, and I lived there for a couple of years growing up. If you haven't watched the Money Talks episode, it's on Mondays now. It used to be on Thursdays with my brother Taylor. All my a bunch of my family's down in Texas. He actually owns a couple of law firms down in McKinney, just north of Dallas.
Mosquito Creek.
Yeah, they have the mosquito festival there every year. It's
Damn,
an
that sounds.
interesting it's an interesting place. So yeah, no, I mean even right now, I haven't ran. I ran with my lady the other day because she's into marathons. Like she'll run like 13 miles, 17 miles just to train. And I ran 4 miles with her the other day. I'm actually still running, around 7 minute miles. And I'm 51. So and I don't do cardio. I mean, I don't run. I don't I don't do shit other than lift weights and swing sledgehammers and axes and work around the property and stuff like that. But I haven't like gone out and purposely run in probably a decade. But I mean, I'm still running around 7 minute miles.
Damn. Yeah, it probably helps you don't smoke like that either. Maybe the occasional cigar, but
Well, yeah, I smoke stuff, but yeah, not cigarettes.
uh, none of that Nick, man. None of the Nick. Whoo. Oh, did I freeze up this time? My back.
Yep. All right. We'll switch over.
Oh no, we lost him.
There we go.
Oh,
I mean, I mean, I'm willing to stay on as long as people are interested in listening to us yammer on. But I mean, I'm just going to sit back and drink my drink. I might have to go refill my cocktail, but I mean, we can marathon this thing if you want. I mean, you need to get going.
I just gotta feed my cats.
Well, I mean, if you want to freaking go feed your cats, go ahead. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'll be
mean,
back. I'll be
all
back
right,
soon.
cool. All right, cool. So yeah, let me know. Freaking start spamming the chat with whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm actually kind of in the mood to just chill and freaking talk. All right, let's see what we got here. We ran 3 miles and I was a 6 minute mile guy. Yeah, no, back in the day, yeah, I was a 5 6 minute mile guy as well. But you get older, you slow down, man. It happens. Yeah, push ups. Last time I did push ups in military push ups in one go, by regulation, the rest position and all that shit. You know what I'm talking about. Um, I can do 100 push-ups, still, but I work out, every day, with kettlebells and push-ups, sit-ups, all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I try to do I try to do 500 a day. Do I always accomplish that? Honestly, with the channel, chores, trying to stay knowledgeable about crypto and stuff like that. Not always. I can't. You can't spend too many plates. How's AV&T looking? All right. Yeah, let's bop back over to this screen. Let's see how AV&T is looking. Got my cat over my shoulder here. One of my cats. It's kind of weird. I used to be a dog person, and had a dog forever. And to be honest, freaking cats are freaking awesome. They're just so chill. All right, let's take a look at AV&T. And I have to warn you, I am not a chart person. I'll say this over and over again. So do not take my freaking. All right, let's see. Let's look at. Let's go to the 1 hour. So me personally, I have a very little bit of AVNT staked on Avantis, and my long on Bitcoin and my long or my short on gold is both on Avantis right now. I love anything base. Anybody that listens knows I'm very, very bullish. Oh, sorry here. Um, I'm very, very bullish on base. And AV&T, of course, is a perpetuals exchange on base. So um, the reason I'm so bullish on base is the fact that Coinbase and the base network is almost purpose built for DeFi and RWAs. That is where my focus is. That is where I am focusing my attention and my knowledge. Because gaming, great. If you're into the gaming narrative, awesome. I'm sure there's going to be a place for that. If you're into AI, great. That I'm sure that there's going to be a place for that. However, me personally, I see the amount of volume, the amount of TVL, the amount of liquidity that is going to potentially be injected into this technology. The bulk of that, at least short term, is going to be in the financial sector. It's going to be the tokenization of real world assets. It's going to be the tokenization of stocks, real estate, bonds, treasuries, credit, just anything and everything that can be tokenized, commodities, gold, silver, oil, all of these things. That is where my focus is. Follow the money. That is the best advice I can give you in investing. Follow the freaking money. If you want to make money, do what big money's doing. If they're buying something, buy it. If they're selling something, sell it. It's that easy. And with crypto, you can look on chain and see what they're doing. That's why they're so bullish on freaking Aster and the dark pools that Aster wants to put out on Binance, because they want to make it, they want to put up the blinders so you can't see what they're doing. That's why I will not invest in Aster. I fuck BNB. Honestly, fuck BNB. I don't care if the freaking token's pumping. I don't care if it's the biggest exchange. I don't care if Aster is pumping and going to make me money. Am I missing out? Absolutely. My principles, if you want to call it that, I'm not going to invest in it. The reason I got into crypto is I like for lack of a better term, the libertarian, outlook on it. I like the fact that it evens the playing field. Crypto and DeFi allows me to be the bank and make money on my money instead of having to put it into a bank where they make the money on my money and graciously give me, a fraction of a, cent on the dollar. I am done with that. I have no money in the bank. When it comes to like traditional finance, I have enough money in my bank account to pay my bills each month. And actually, soon it won't even be that. I got that Coinbase card to where I earn, anywhere between 2 and 4% in Bitcoin off my purchases. I've started putting all of my bills that I can put on that card, and I have it paid, all of it is paid off before I accrue interest. And so I'm basically making Bitcoin off of stuff I was already, stuff that you have to pay: groceries, gas, power bill, all the different things that we do for the channel, the different, AI platforms and streaming platforms. All of it, I put it on that card because I can make Bitcoin that's going to go up in value as opposed to just having a bank account that I'm not making shit. Get out of the mainstream mindset if you want to be successful. if you want to be, again, I'm going to repeat this and I want you to make this a mantra. If you want what everyone else has, do what everyone else is doing. If you want what rich people have, if you want what successful people have, do what they're doing. If you want to stay a victim, if you want to be stay poor and be dependent on the government and be dependent on a salary or a paycheck, have that freaking socialist mindset, that democratic mindset of that you're owed everything and that and that you want the government to give you everything. If you
Mhm.
want to be part of the group of people that decide how the wheels turn, if you want to end up to where you can comfortably have a beautiful home for you and your family and nice cars and boats and all of those things, if that's what you want, that's awesome. I want that for you. But you need to get out of that consumer mindset, that victim mentality that you're owed everything. Nobody owes you shit. And as long as you're in that mindset, you are one of the lemmings that are going to be on a hamster wheel feeding the elite. They want you in that mindset because it makes you a drone that is willing to run that hamster wheel and fund their way of life.
In a way, that's kind of like the reparations topic. How many people today are descendants of slave owners, and which is very little. And here in California, Newsom is talking about having people pay reparations and shit when more than half the state is immigrants.
Well,
People
dude,
from somewhere else. So you're like, what the fuck? You're
half
gonna
the
force
state,
them to pay?
half the state is immigrants. The black people that are in the freaking state were never a slave. The white
Nope.
people that are in the state were never slave owners. And
Mm-mm.
what about the people that are the in betweens, mulattoes that are
Yeah.
like black and white? Do they have to pay and they get paid? What nonsense are we perpetuating here? How about everybody just nut up, go to work, put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, have the intestinal fortitude and the integrity to understand that you're not owed shit.
Mm-hmm. Africans sold African slaves. Like, what are we talking about? You guys.
Dude, learn history. If you want to learn about slaves, learn history.
It's
There
crazy.
is there's actually more Europeans and white people that were enslaved than black people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
in much worse conditions. This chattel slavery that people like to invoke, the same shit happened with white people, where blacks and freaking Arabs freaking enslaved white Europeans forever. The Romans, they freaking enslaved every race. If you weren't Roman, you were less than human. You were in a coliseum, you were servicing them, you were working in a salt mine, you were in a quarry, something. It's get over it. Shit happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's.
Yeah. How do we step away from Avantis and come back to slaves? Scotty, stay with us. Keep up. It,
Scotty
it,
doesn't know that we're going on a rant because it's
dude, yeah.
DJ Friday.
This is DJ Friday. Stick with us, brother. We're drinking. Shit's about to get wild. We're gonna rock out with the cock out here
Yeah.
soon.
With our Gimp mask and everything.
Oh yeah, shit's about to get weird.
Oh man.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think pretty much everybody has heard enough about crypto this week. I'm trying to keep it light, trying
Mm-hmm.
to bring the focus back more to discipline, focus. Making sure that you know zoom out and keep keep yourself grounded. Keep yourself out of an emotional mindset and focused on the brass ring. Why did you get into crypto? Why did you get into investing? And has that changed? Has the situation that drove you to look for a way out changed? Has the fiat situation gotten better, whatever country you're in? Has the government started making better decisions? Has your pay at your job, has it gone up significantly? Has the price of the cost of living, groceries and utilities, has it gone down? I can
Mhm.
tell you, no matter where you're at, the answer is fucking no. I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but nobody's coming to save you, no matter what the government says. And anything that the government gives you can be taken away. Focus on improving your own and your family's quality of life and your situation. Break away from the system, become self-sovereign. Figure out how to grow. Like, even if you live in the city and have a small yard, figure out how to grow a little bit of food. Figure out how to make yourself less dependent on the system. Because if things get ugly, excuse me, if things get ugly, the government's not coming to look at the recent natural disasters in the United States. On the East Coast, the floods, the hurricanes that happened,
Mhm.
a year or two ago.
Last year was a shit show when I was out there. We got there
Dude,
the day before the hurricane came through, and it was madness everywhere. Like you
dude,
couldn't go through stoplights. People were getting rear-ended, T-boned. It was.
Biden left everybody hanging.
Hmm.
You know, right now there's floods in Alaska. Very, much smaller scale, but you know, I don't know what is Trump doing about that. The country's broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have 37, 38 trillion dollars in debt. They're printing money, thinking that that's gonna fucking keep the boat afloat. I mean, they're using one pail to bail the fucking boat out, and there's dozens of holes in the hull. You
Hmm.
know, the bailing is not outpacing the flooding.
No, not at all. I mean, shit. The Francis Scott Key Bridge. They're not even. They haven't even touched, and it's been a year and a half since
Well,
it.
they've touched it. They actually just put up some of the uprights on the
Okay.
bridge. And this is like within the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Just finally getting around to it.
Yeah,
And that was a huge, you know, uh, transportation for people to go across too, and the
no,
infrastructure sucked, man.
actually here.
California,
What was it called? The Francis Scott Key Bridge.
yeah, infrastructure is shit. Um,
Oh yeah, no, don't get me started on our power grid.
Transformers, man. If you can find a business building transformers, we're in desperate need.
Oh no,
Desperate.
Mexico. Oh shit, hold on. Let me transition this shit. So Mexico and China is who we're dependent on for the electrical transformers that you see up on power poles.
Oh,
Those big.
Mexico as well.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, those big gray, freaking
Hmm.
trash can sized transformers that are full of oil. Those are made in Mexico and fucking China, both places that are getting hard tariffs right now. And Biden gave all of our reserves of those to Ukraine to rebuild their power
Hmm.
grid. We're fucked. If
Hmm.
an EMP, a solar flare, back, I forget when it was. Me and Drew on Black Site did a thing on it, but I want to say it was in the 80s or 90s. There was a huge cascade effect that went across the East Coast and took out like the power on the East Coast for like ever. Texas was about 5 minutes away with the ice storms that they got about a year or two ago, where basically the power would have been out for like a month in Texas. Like there would have been
Oh shit.
massive amounts of death that would have happened in Texas. And people don't realize how fragile our way of life is. You know, zoom out. You know, you're worried about crypto right now. I highly suggest that you focus on at least a 72-hour kit. With kind of the way the world is right now, you want to have at least 72 hours of water, food, essential medications, some basic medical supplies, things to stop bleeding, stuff like that, and a way to protect yourself. It's at a minimum, and it's not expensive. A couple of flats of water and or some something to carry water in, a water purifier, a couple of cans of food. I mean, you'd be surprised how far you can go with a couple of cans of chili. You got beans, you got meat, you got salt, you got electrolytes, all that kind of stuff, in a can of chili. I mean, you can live for quite a while off a can of chili a day.
Mm-hmm.
Is it heavy? Absolutely. But you can go a week or two. You can have a week or two worth of food. And keep in mind, while you're moving, you're always scavenging. You're looking for more supplies. Those, that food and water that you're carrying is if you don't find anything. With the life straw, that I think it was Deadwood was talking about, or somebody earlier on.
Oh, wispy. Yeah.
Yeah, wispy. If you run across a water source, those life straws, you can basically suck sewage through those things,
Mm-hmm.
and it will purify it. I mean, you can stop at a stream and suck through that life straw and fill yourself up, and then use a water purifier to fill your Camelback or your what your canteens or whatever
Mm-hmm.
for the in between. It you need to think about these things. You do not want to be that person that's fist fighting and out there fighting for a can of food or a bottle of water. What would you do for you and your family if after a week or two there was no clean water to drink and your family was dying from thirst, like literally dying from thirst? What would you do if I had a bottle of water in my hand and your wife and kids were dying of thirst and I wouldn't give it to you? Ask yourself that honest
Yeah.
question. Me, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd shoot you in the fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but if my wife and kids are dying and the difference is I take that bottle of water from you or my wife and kids die, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to be that person, and I won't be because I'm prepared. But if I was a dumbass that wasn't prepared and I was in that situation, you know, are you that spineless that you're not going to, do what's necessary to keep your family alive?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people now, it seems like, we've kind of conditioned them to be that spineless. Because I see a lot of these. I don't even call them men. These boys that just, I don't know, man.
The chat got real quiet when I started talking about shooting people for water.
It's hard enough to find good, real men that
Yeah,
can uphold the standard of, you know, treating women with respect and all that shit,
absolutely.
and taking care of, being a provider and stuff. And not saying you need to be an alpha, but I mean, it's just crazy to see how these people act. And what do you think they're gonna do when shit hits the fan? Nothing.
I'll be honest, dude. Alphas don't worry me in the slightest. Alphas are loud. They're
Hmm.
obnoxious. It's what they're calling sigmas. The
Yeah.
quiet one. The one that is fully capable, that will do what's necessary, that respects women, that isn't out there with a body count, sleeping with as many women as possible. The quiet one that keeps their head down. They go to work, they take care of their family, they make sure they provide.
Hmm.
they eat shit every day at a job that they don't like because they're doing what's necessary to take care of their family. Those are the people that potentially you would need to worry about. They'll
Hmm.
do whatever's necessary and they won't bat an eye when they do it. Those are the ones you need to worry about. The loud, boisterous ones, they're the bullies. They're the ones that are loud because they don't have what it takes. Don't fear the loud person. They're covering up for the fact that they can't handle themselves. It's the quiet, calculated, calm person in a chaotic situation. That's the one you want to align yourself with. The person that's calm in the chaos, the one that is calculated and cool, that's the one you want to align yourself with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I'm grateful to have gone through certain difficult situations and people not even know what the fuck, you know, I had gone through, and then they find out something, they're like, "Wait, you seem fine this whole time." It's like, "Yeah, cuz I'm not out here going, look at me, or shouting out my problems, or
Yeah,
you know, you know how to handle situations when shit hits the fan, and you're not panicking, because panic doesn't get you anywhere.
no.
Panic will only make things worse. And being able to
And
work through situations,
well,
problem solve.
in an emergency situation, that's true. In investing, that's true. In
Mhm.
relationships, that's true. At your job, that's true. I mean, like, let me present it to you this way. You're at your job, whatever your job is, and something important comes up, and it's an emergency, and you see everybody in the room is freaking out, and there's that one person, or maybe two or three people that are calm, they're collected, and I would be willing to bet that they're usually the ones that come up with a solution, whereas the people that are chaotic and in the mindset, that emotional mindset, they're being reactionary. Whereas those calm people, they are in a more of a mindset because they're thinking logically. They're understanding, and they're quiet because they are evaluating the situation. They're analyzing the situation, and they're formulating a way to deal with the situation. All the while, you have the people with no discipline freaking out, running around like their hair's on fire, wasting energy, wasting resources, working everyone else up around them, their subordinates, into this frenzy where they're not productive. They're not doing anything worthwhile. Whereas those people that are calm and collected, they have, since then come up with a solution, and they're starting to give direction. You do this, you do this, you do this. And they're briefing their team on, this is what we're doing, and this is what each person is doing, because this is the mission that we're trying to accomplish. That is the type of person that you want to align yourself with. That's the type of person that you want to become, because in that chaotic situation, in investing, in relationships, in whatever, you want to be that calm and collected individual, because that is going to give you the optimal outcome. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. Is it going to be the best possible outcome? More than likely, yes. And I guarantee you it's going to be better than that person that's freaking the fuck out, and that's, all over the place and has no discipline over their own emotions.
Yeah. Well, and you think about the energy expenditure that you create when you do freak out, the mental anguish that you cause, not just yourself, but like you said, other people. It drains you. Like, think of the people that are just hard to be around, and they drain your energy. Think of that in a heightened
Oh,
uh, emergency situation. You're
yeah.
just you're gonna not want to do anything, and that's gonna matter. That could be life or death. So, really
Well,
reserving
shit.
that could save your life.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. Well, like chat got quiet. I mean, we got it. We got a couple of hundred people watching, but it's mostly on X and stuff. I think most of
Been
our
cranking up though. Yeah.
oh yeah, no, but it's like feel like we've been going for over 2 hours, so maybe we should cut this off. I could definitely get something to eat, but I appreciate all of you out there, and if you could, all of you on X, if you could come over to YouTube, give us a like, give us a follow.
Yeah,
I
hit
mean,
that thumbs
this
up.
is our, Friday is our chill day where we just have drinks and just kind of talk about everything. Obviously, like here, actually, let me go through this real quick. Let's do this and this. So if you could do us a flavor and come over here to YouTube, find us a DeFi crypto and airdrops on YouTube, and just give us a like and a follow. It goes a long way with growing the channel. We have a lot of different types of content if you're new to the channel.
Hmm.
So, we have our brother channels. Jeff, that's here on with me now. He has a dedicated airdrops channel, the Blockchain Report. Jake Call is one of our brother channels. Guy is crazy smart about DeFi, and the founder of Metrics Finance. We have a link to that in our description of every episode and our channel. Great DeFi tool. Blockchain Basement, Drew over at Discover Crypto does that. Great content there, Monday through Friday in the mornings. Discover Crypto, same thing, and DeFi University. If you want to learn about DeFi, David over there has great content. But our different channels, if you want to get the basics about DeFi, we have our DeFi Academy where you can learn the basics. DeFi Masterclass, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, is when I have David and Jake on, and we talk about advanced strategies. Money Talks on Mondays is where I have Taylor, my brother, who is an estate lawyer, talks about wills, trusts, small business formation, real estate, and his business partner Jeff, Texas Jeff. We talk about basically TradFi and wealth preservation. And then, of course, I started a new channel for interviews. I just did yesterday my first interview and basically just find interesting individuals. Last one was a guy that has decades of experience in international trade and a bunch of other subject topics, and basically was talking about our current global financial strifes that we're going through and what he sees for the future. So check that out. I'm working on the next episode potentially to have a ex Navy intelligence officer from the Vietnam era on, who has lived quite an interesting a life, and just going to have him share his experiences. So just going to
Hmm.
start bringing on some very interesting people with very interesting backgrounds, and I have quite the network of individuals that I'm going to start tapping into. Um, Entrepreneurs, military personnel, people that are in global finance, things like that. But and then of course, DeFi, crypto, and airdrops that you're watching right now. But anyway, yeah, no, throw us a like, throw us a follow if you find this valuable. And you got any closing thoughts, Jeff?
No, we're trying to bring a lot of, like Mike said, a lot of information that you can't find on a lot of other channels. From traditional finance to DeFi. The airdrop meta has been a little tough, but there's still value there with not just the testnet stuff, but with DeFi liquidity pools, providing liquidity on certain exchanges or DeFi exchanges. You can get airdrops from that too. So there's a lot of different ways you can earn off your bags instead of just holding one single asset. And I've been learning a lot from the DeFi side. It's been my biggest addition and skill set that I've added this year. So definitely grateful for that. And yeah, just follow us and you never know what you might learn. And I know I learned a lot today about the gold and silver stuff. So I'm looking at getting my firearm license soon as well. I know it's a little tough here in California, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
I'll be stacking my ammo here soon.
Well,
So I appreciate all of you.
we appreciate all of you in the chat. Blumpkin, Mountain Magnets, Black Ice, Scotty D, Edwood, Haven Peck,
Alexander G.
Alexander G. Always appreciate you, beautiful. You're
Crispy.
always helping us, spread the good word and helping Blockchain Basement and everybody spread the good word. But
Mhm.
till next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.